This is all your fault.
And I'm done.
I hate you so much. You did this to me. Oh, hey everybody.
Hi.
God. So this video's been a long time coming. This is a video about how everything is Russ's fault.
True.
This is about Hyperdimension Neptunia, the video game series and now multimedia franchise.
And whoever would have thought that would happen? Whoever thought that one very odd game about moe anime girls as video game consoles would turn into a multimedia franchise.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, the premise of the Hyperdimension Neptunia series is all of the various video game consoles are represented as girls who fight against the evils of, like, piracy and stuff.
Because of course they are.
Yes. So, Russ, I figure you should start this tale since you did this to me.
I did. Yes, I did do it to you. I did it because I played a game called Trinity Universe, which did not become a multimedia franchise for the PS3.
I'd never even heard of this one.
Okay, yeah, Trinity Universe, and I played it, and it was fine. I mean, it was a way to kill some time. And then they used like the same assets and made this Hyperdimension Neptunia game. So I tried that one too, and again, it was fine. The first version of the first game is very rough around the edges. Yeah, but I completed it, and then they released a second one, which I also played, about the little sisters.
For the record, all of these little props that you're going to be seeing, these are mine.
Yeah, these are all his. I own the first 3 games. Well, I own the 4 main games, and I played 3 of the 4.
All right, so you played the second one.
So I played the second one. Yes, I played the first one and the second one.
So it's Hyperdimension Neptunia is the first one. Then Hyperdimension Neptunia MK2 is the sequel, and it stars the little sisters mainly. So it's the handheld consoles.
Yeah, and it gets even creepier because they're all little girls. So then I played the third one, which
Hyperdimension Neptunia Victory.
Yes, and that's in an alternate dimension. So that was fun, and that's kind of where I stopped, kind of.
But the point of the story is where you hooked me.
Yeah,
like
and that's when I think that's when I hooked you, is after they had released and I had played the 3 that were on the regular PS3, and that's before the series was like...
The series got big.
Yeah, it got like insane. So do you want to just do the next main one first?
Well, no, it's
in chronological order.
So I came over to your house and you're playing this bizarre game,
right?
With these girls.
Yeah, so I was playing the third one,
and I'm attracted to the bizarre and the weird. I like odd, off the wall stuff.
I do too. That's why I played these games in the first place. I just like weird Japanese RPGs.
So that's how I got interested in at least being willing to play it. So he lent me the third one first. And within seconds of playing it, I hit the jump button and the main character goes, "I'm a kangaroo!" And I text him, I said, "What the hell are you doing to me?"
Yeah. Were you consumed by the adorableness of that?
It is adorable. More, I was worried about the oddness of it. I am a sucker for meta humor.
And this is full of it.
And fourth wall breaking, and yeah.
Neptune, the main character, hums the Final Fantasy Victory theme.
Yeah, so many other video game references. In the fourth game, which came out for the PS4 recently.
And I haven't. I
Mega Dimension Neptunia Victory 2. So it looks like 7, but it's the sequel to. There's a character based on the Dreamcast. And whenever she dies, she says, "I was 10 years before my time." And she kills an enemy. It's, "You're 10 years too soon." You encounter their version of Mario and Luigi and Master Chief. It's all in there. Some of the
references are really obscure, too.
You know, there was one reference that it took me years to get. And it was, there's a character that walks around in a karate gi, and all he says is, "Chiru!" And it turns out he's based off of Segata Sanshiro or something like that.
Yeah, you would have to.
He was
you would have to be Japanese or like way into.
Well, no, he was a commercial mascot, like over here. He was a Sega commercial idol for the Sega. We never played Sega. We didn't pay attention to Sega commercials. But apparently there were Sega commercials for this, like, he was the greatest martial artist in the world, and when they killed him off because he absorbed a nuclear blast to save the world.
Like one does.
As one does. So, like, even as much as I've played these games, I know there's references I've never gotten. There was one I almost didn't get in this most recent one, which was the Seaman, because the Dreamcast shows up in the most recent one, and they had a game called Seaman, and they actually put in a fish with a human face, and I didn't get the reference, but I mentioned it to a friend of mine, and she was like, "Oh yeah, that's Seaman."
I do like the fish with the human face. He's just a fish with a human face, but he has this incredibly charming voice.
It is very deep and melodic.
It's very deep.
So that's the 4 main games.
And I've played the first 3. I've played a little bit of the 4th. I played the first 3.
I will tell you, the first one is very rough, and also not even really canonical. If you pay attention to the history of the franchise, this first game takes place in a different universe from all the rest of them.
And that's if you pay attention to the history of the franchise.
This is the Mega Dimension. These are all in the Hyperdimension, even though this one says Mega Dimension in the title.
So it makes a lot of sense.
True. And most of the third one's in the Ultra Dimension, to be fair.
Yeah. And that is really my extent of the experience with the series. So I hooked him.
I got hooked.
But I'm done.
It set hooks into my soul just because it's so weird and off the wall and fourth wall breaking. It's exactly my kind of humor that I have a darker and twisted sense of humor too, but this is my lighthearted sense of humor on lockdown. I mean, this is it. And then they started making remakes.
So if you didn't have enough fun playing the first game,
This is Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1. Basically what they did, before this 4th one came out, they remade the first 3 with the style and mechanics of the 3rd one, and then added in some extra stuff and shuffled some characters around. And it's really weird because the 3rd one started introducing some running gags that didn't exist in the first 2, but then they went ahead and put the running gags in the rest of the series through the remakes. So if you have a Vita, because my Vita is basically my Hyperdimension box.
It really is. Yeah.
So there's Rebirth 1. Then there's Hyperdimension Neptunia MK2 Rebirth 2 Sisters Generation.
That's a mouthful.
I know. That's just the remake of the second one with updated style and whatever. Then Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 3 Victory Generation.
Which, how even different is that one from the PS3 version?
Not terribly.
So you purchased
they added in some bonus dungeons. I'll say this. In the opening sequence of this first one, they added an extra dungeon right at the beginning of the remake. There's like a dungeon that had never happened before, and instantly they went, wow, we're really making this different from the previous games, aren't we?
Meta humor.
That's my thing. And then they did spin-offs.
Now it gets weird.
Now it gets weird.
You thought it was weird, but now it gets weird.
Hyperdimension Neptunia Producing Perfection. I'm trying not to have a glare on there. I'm not succeeding terribly well. There you go. All of the girls from the Hyperdimension Neptunia series are now idols, and you help them put on shows to fight piracy or something.
Of course you do.
But really, it's a dating simulation. I mean, there is the whole manage their career, and you get to pick which of the 4 goddesses you're going to.
Is it just the 4 main goddesses, or the sisters?
It's the 4 main goddesses, but then the rest of the characters can be backup dancers.
Oh, of course.
And we should establish something. I've got this art book here, so we can establish real quick. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah, I wouldn't really show a lot of those images.
Oh dear. So the main character,
good choice.
She represents the Sega Neptune, which didn't exist. That's her in her goddess mode. That's her in her regular mode. That's Neptune. She's the main character, and she'll tell you so. Because anytime she dies in combat, she'll yell out, "But I'm the main character." Noir here, who's your Tsundere?
Tsundere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She represents the PlayStation. She lives in Last Station. Then you've got Blonde, who represents the Wii. She lives in Lowy. She's Nintendo, and she's some anime type, something. The angry, flipping out. You told me the term once.
Well, she's yandere. I mean, she's not really yandere, I guess. Kind of.
And then the leader of Leanbox, Bert. And I don't know if you can tell, but the Leanbox is very big.
She is. She's my personal favorite, and she's my favorite because she is like a hardcore gamer. She's really into MMOs. And then she's also...
like the Xbox is.
Yeah, she's really into MMOs, and then she's also really into, like, boys love manga. And, like, boys love visual novels. So, there's a term for that. I can't think of the term, but...
So weird.
She's the weird. She has the weirdest personality out of all of them.
But as I am a PlayStation fan, I'm also a Noir fan, and so I was happy when she got this spinoff, Hyper Devotion Noir Goddess Blackheart, which is a tactical RPG, like Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics. And I gotta say, of these spin-offs, this is probably the best one. It introduces some things to the tactical RPG arena, dynamic moving environments, the ability to, if you have enough points built up through actions, to summon in characters to replace fallen characters. It's actually a really solid tactical RPG, provided you can stand this universe that it's set in, which is all weird and anime.
Which I got tired of a long time ago.
Then we've got Hyperdimension Neptunia U Action Unleashed. Don't let the U fool you. This is for the Vita. Even though everything else that had a U was for the Wii U. This is just a Dynasty Warriors beat 'em up. I mean,
that's probably the one I would be most interested in playing. I like the Dynasty Warriors games. Hyrule Warriors.
It's not that good.
Kind of stuff. But it's not.
No,
okay.
They added a mechanic that makes it uncomfortable to play, where as they take damage, their clothes fall apart.
So even the small twins...
Even the little girls. Okay. Luckily, you can unlock the ability for their clothes to stay on. And just, put that on the little girls. Just keep your... That's one thing I find wildly uncomfortable about this, is there are two little girls there. The Ram and Rom, they represent the DS.
Which is, on its own... a clever idea. Twin sisters.
But
they
sexualize them about as much as any of the other characters, if not a little more so in weird situations. And it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's very Japanese, I suppose.
Well, yes, certainly. I mean, there are like visual novels that have terrible things in them, but even as someone who loves anime and
it's uncomfortable.
Japanese things, it's very uncomfortable to me. So.
And then the most recent game that came out is kind of a sequel to Neptunia U Action Unleashed. It's also a Dynasty Warriors beat 'em up. It's Mega Tag Mention Blonde Neptune vs. Zombies. All of the characters are now in a high school. And there's a zombie invasion, and they're making a movie about fighting zombies while the zombie invasion is happening. So you beat up zombies as schoolgirl versions of all these characters.
They're all very, very delicately named. Yes. That was Tag Mention?
Yes, Mega Tag Mention.
Mega Tag Mention.
Mega Tag Mention Blonde. Because they're giving each of the characters eventually their own spin-off. Noir is going to own the tactical RPG, I guess.
Where's Vert?
Vert hasn't gotten one yet. So, there's your games for this ridiculous franchise.
That's a lot. That's a lot of hours of your life.
And it's your damn fault!
I know, it is. I own that.
Then I got this art book, which is the first and second games I'm sure there's art books for future games, and I need to get those. Including a lot of characters that have been retconned out. Because they also have characters that represent, this is Gust, who represents the company Gust. Some Japanese company that does something.
It makes the Gust does, if I'm not mistaken, the Atelier.
Oh yeah,
games,
the Atelier games.
Atelier, Rorona, and all those that I don't really play.
Nisa, who represents Nisa,
Yeah,
which does something.
Nippon Ichi software, and they do Disgaea strategy RPGs.
But Nisa and Gust are no longer involved in the Hyperdimension Neptunia series, so their characters no longer exist in there.
But that's an art book for the first game or second game?
It's the first and second combined. 5PB, which was the name of the company that provided the music, but it got replaced by somebody else, and so her character doesn't show up anymore.
So that's a vintage item.
And then they made an anime.
They did.
And it's just called Hyperdimension Neptunia. It does not have fun.
And you own the anime, and you don't even really care for anime that much.
No, I own all of 2 animes, and this is one of them.
And see, and I love anime, and I've never even watched that, so...
It takes the plot of the first 3 games and makes them into a cohesive story. And points out the fact that it's an anime the whole time as well. Because at one point they introduce a character that's not in any of the games, and they go, "Oh my god, our anime finally got an original character!" And then she's never seen it. She points out, "I'm not going to be in any scenes other than this one."
Right.
She actually, the original character represents Microsoft, so she's got a little thing in her hair, the Microsoft logo, and she ends all of her sentences with Bing. And they point out that it's really obnoxious, and that's why she's not going to last beyond that one scene. And then,
Nice.
because of all of this obsession that Russ started, this is his damn fault.
And then finished.
Yeah, and then Russ bailed out of the series. After 3, he was done.
Yeah. I'd seen it. I'd seen the weirdness. So I was done.
He hasn't seen any of this.
No.
Any of this weirdness. He's barely seen this weirdness. He hasn't seen this weirdness.
Yeah. I like the art. I like art books in general. I don't have that art book, but
The only other art books I have are for the Persona series.
I have that. Yeah, I have those too.
Oh, I have 3 anime series because I have Persona 4 the anime. This is Russ. This is Russ's adventure.
Right.
That's mine.
Right.
That he did to me. And then because
So
I
we
like
haven't
the
even
series
gotten
so
to my
much.
favorite item.
Oh God. My friend the princess wanted to get me a Christmas present. And she knew I liked this series. And so she got me what is probably one of the most embarrassing Christmas presents I've ever gotten.
But I think it's wonderful.
Russ,
Only because I...
would you please bring up my Christmas presents?
Yes, I will.
That I did not buy for myself.
It's heavy.
It is heavy.
Hi.
All right. Neptune.
Hi.
Sit right in there.
Hi.
A Hyperdimension Neptunia body pillow. They make them based off of almost all the characters, and there's X-rated and G-rated ones. This is actually the G-rated one of the main character.
Fortunately.
And she's reversible.
Right.
Ah.
Yeah. Now, I like this just because I like body pillows, and I think this is an incredibly comfortable...
It is the
thing.
princess put a very nice body pillow inside of this ridiculous wrapping. There's a thigh gap. Look at that. I never noticed that
Oh,
before.
God. Okay. Please stop it. Please just stop that.
So
this is, this is what it is.
this is what Russ has done to me. He made me a fan
I'm
of a series, then abandoned me, and I now have no other friends who can tolerate this.
I can still tolerate it.
You don't play the games, you don't watch the show. How are we supposed to?
But I can tolerate your enjoyment of it.
I'm not sure I can anymore. Like I said, I like it because it's silly. It's fourth wall breaking meta humor.
Right.
It's full of video game references. The mechanics themselves are fairly enjoyable for an RPG.
Yeah.
Well, after the first one.
Yeah, the first one was rough, but it did, you know. The other two were actually quite fun. I think part of my fatigue with it is that they haven't changed it. I mean, since the second one, I guess the fourth one changed it a little bit.
These are all different. This one's a tactical RPG, and I know
Right,
how
but
much you love
like,
those.
No, that was a lie. That was the opposite of the truth.
It's actually a pretty good tactical RPG. It was very enjoyable. Of all of these spin-offs and remakes and everything, it's by far the if I were to recommend any of the spin-offs, it would just be this one.
The fact that this is a multimedia franchise is really indicative of what is happening in what's popular in anime right now, which kind of makes it difficult for someone like me that's been an anime fan since the 90s and grew up on stuff like Cowboy Bebop and Dragon Ball and that kind of stuff. And now this is mostly what you get in anime, so I don't know. Maybe I'm a little resentful.
Whereas
maybe I enjoyed the weirdness and the moe and the video, consoles as anime girls initially, but I just got fatigue.
I have no attachment to anime, so this can't have an impact on that. I don't even know for sure what moe is, although they do reference it in the game a couple of times.
Don't feel bad because I don't totally understand what it is,
Oh, good.
Other than it's just like cute girls doing cute things or something.
It is a very Japanese series.
It's like what do they say? It's like pornography. You know it when you see it. You know moe when you see it.
So anyway, that's, I guess, the Hyperdimension Neptunia series that Russ has inflicted upon me, and now I have inflicted upon the world as a cry for help, I think. Now I gotta go see if there's more up-to-date art books, because this is just for 2 games out of like 100 that are here.
And they're already playing another one, right?
They are planning another one. You told me about it. Here's the thing. Even though you're out of the game, you're still the one who tells me when these things are coming up. So the next one, and all I'm going to do is repeat what you've told me. You do it. I don't know anything apart from what I heard from you.
About the game. Oh, it's about
Cyberdimension Neptunia,
something
4 goddesses
like that.
online.
And it's how they get trapped in one of Vert's MMOs or something, and then they take on like traditional classes, like Neptune is a paladin and Noir is a Dark Knight or something like that, and it's in development. I read about it a while back on one of the gaming blogs that I read.
It's going to be the 5th game in the series.
I will not play it. He will play it.
I will play it.
And
it's not an MMO. That's just the setting they're using for the 5th game in this series. Because, and I kind of like this from a storytelling standpoint. Like, by the end of the 2nd one, you've saved the world from evil. Like, the world is at peace. So instead of reintroducing new hazards to the world, like, oh, but a new evil arises. No, the land of game industry, where they live, is mostly at peace. And so from the 3rd one on, but there's trouble in other dimensions. So the home dimension is still safe because you saved it. And I kind of like that because a lot of franchises, it's like, okay, what's happening to Hyrule this time? I've spent my whole life trying to save Hyrule, and now something's going down again.
But that's not the same characters.
No, but it's the same.
It's cyclical.
It's the same universe.
Right.
So it's the same land. So again, I'm going back to Hyrule because stuff's going down. Whereas in Hyperdimension Neptunia, I saved game industry.
You know what I would play is if they did a game and they came to another dimension and all of the consoles were boys. There were boy versions of the goddesses.
There are almost no male characters.
Yeah, there are no. I think the fish with the face is the only playable.
The only playable male. Yeah, and that's in the 4th game.
And he's DLC.
Yeah. Up until then, until the 3rd game, there's no men's faces in the game. Anytime a man talks, it was a silhouette, and that's fixed in the remakes. But
yeah,
there's like 3 guys in the entire universe, and you don't see their face. Then in the 3rd one, there was a guy who was a villain. He was one of the members of villains, and he was basically the only guy in that game.
Didn't Vert have butlers or something at some point? Or did I just imagine that?
You just imagine
Okay.
that. I'm sorry. So yeah, there's very few men in this universe. It is all women. Girl power. Roar. So yeah, Cyberdimension Neptunia. Oh, and in a couple of months, they're coming out with another one of these spin-offs. I believe it's going to be kind of a sequel to Megatagmension Blonde Neptune. It's Megatagmension Blonde plus Neptune versus Zombies. I left out the plus. I'm sorry. It's Hyperdimension Neptunia versus Sega Hard Girls, something like that. And it's a crossover with another franchise that features Sega consoles as high school girls, because apparently that's a thing in Japan. Because now it's in two different separate things.
They like their cute girls.
Apparently they like their cute girls digitally. But a friend of mine has been telling me that they like the digital representation of women so much that they don't really care much about the real women.
That's horrifying.
It's actually apparently becoming an epidemic over there, where they're going to fail to breed themselves into existence. they're just going to.
We're not talking about animal husbandry. It's just human beings. That is terrible. So now I dislike you as a human being for supporting that and playing this series.
I'd still rather spend time with a real girl.
Okay.
They just don't want to play Hyperdimension Neptunia with me. No, that's not true, actually. I've played Hyperdimension Neptunia with several real girls at this point. And I've watched anime of it with them. Anyway.
I'm glad that I brought this into your life.
I'm not. I'm unhappy that you infected me with this. And then left.
Do we need to do an intervention?
But then I wouldn't get to play it anymore.
Okay. See, I mean, that's what a drug addict says. So
I got a problem. All right. So I think we've done enough of that with props and all.
Yeah.
So thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.
Go play Hyperdimension Neptunia.
Not the first one though. The remakes, if you've got a Vita, start with the first one on the remakes. Otherwise, you can start with the second or third one. Is probably best. And if you like tactical RPGs, no, this is I'm covering up your face. Shake your head no all you want.
Right.
I'm covering your face.
I'm saying that I don't. But
it's actually a surprisingly good tactical RPG. Anyway, that's all we got.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Luke Bryan, 2-time CMA Entertainer of the Year. If I ever learn how to read, I'm going to read The Great Platypus Caper by Jeff Hillary because I believe in supporting fine literature. I'm Luke Bryan. Hi.